Lucifer and Satan are not even the same person. Lucifer and Satan are two completely different beings. Lucifer is a Greco-Roman god. Lucifer does not exist in the Bible. Lucifer is the Latin version of the Greek god Phosphoros. And Phosphoros represents the morning star. It has no connection to Satan, and morning star does not mean Satan. Jesus is called the morning star multiple times in the Bible. That is not, the morning star is not Satan. Satan is not a Judeo-Christian character. He does not appear in the Bible. The name Lucifer appears one time in the Bible, and it's a mistranslation. You see Lucifer in, I believe it's Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12, I think, and the king of Babylon, I think it was Nebuchadnezzar. I'm going from memory here, but I think it was Nebuchadnezzar. And he's mockingly called the morning star. They're mockingly calling him the morning star in that passage. And when it's translated into Latin, morning star came out Lucifer. For some reason, they capitalized that and turned it into a proper name. And because of this one mistake, this whole legend of Satan and Lucifer was created out of nothing. Religion is just so made up. One mistake can create an entire body of myth. One little mistake. Lucifer is not even in there anymore. It's an acknowledged mistake, and they have removed it. You don't even see Lucifer in later versions of the Bible. They've removed the mistake out because they know it's a mistake. Satan and Lucifer have nothing to do with one another. So when you see these quotes, you'll see these quotes from these supposed Illuminati members about Lucifer and how they like Lucifer and all this. It sounds so sinister if you don't know the background, because you're thinking Lucifer equals Satan. But that has nothing to do with what they're talking about. There's a popular quote. It says something like, Lucifer is our God. And people are equating that to Satan. But when they're saying Lucifer is their God, they're talking about the metaphor. There's like the metaphor of light equaling knowledge. Lucifer's name means light bearer. So he is the knowledge bearer. When they say that Lucifer is their God, they mean that they revere learning, they revere knowledge. So when you see words like Luciferian, and you think they're talking about something that's satanic, and you get afraid of it, you get all confused, which means that the Illuminati is doing their job. You got to get off this fear of Satan. You're a grown person. You can't be walking around still afraid of the boogeyman. I mean, if you're scared of Satan, you might as well be afraid of damn Skeletor from He-Man. You know, and just a cartoon character, because that's all he is. You might as well be saying you still got monsters under your bed or something like that. This shit is ridiculous. The Illuminati aren't Satanists. They know Satan isn't real, so they obviously wouldn't be worshiping him. All Satan is a distraction to keep you away from the real matters and the real issues. Like, for instance, there are real problems with the state of hip-hop. There's a real issue with the images it puts forward and the effect it has on our culture.
Just like a bus route, Hail Mary to the city, you're a virgin, and Jesus can't save you. Life starts when the church ends. Came here for school.
But if you see Jay-Z throwing up the Rockefeller diamond, and it looks like the Eye of Horus, and you say to yourself, when you see the Eye of Horus sign, and you say, oh, well, Jay-Z must worship the devil, you've already lost the battle. If that is your mode of thinking, and that's what's been done to you, you've already lost the battle. It's over. You've been carried off into some fantasy land now. If you knew better, you know that you should be throwing up that sign. Yourself, you should be throwing it up. Because if you knew about that sign, you wouldn't be falling for these images. You wouldn't be falling for what they're trying to do to you when they completely alter the rap game to make it negative. You wouldn't even fall for it. People ask me all the time. Matter of fact, I think I remember a guy just asking me recently on one of my videos this. He said, well, if these signs are good, if these are good signs, this Egyptian symbolism, if it's so positive, then why do the quote-unquote evil Illuminati use it? And the reason that the Illuminati use it is because they know the power of these symbols. They know this. They just give you the bullshit about Jesus and Satan. Knowledge is power, so they keep knowledge to themselves. They keep the real understanding, what they've been taught, what they learned from the Egyptians, and then they give you some nonsense. When you look at the dollar bill, you're not even seeing the Eye of Horus. You're seeing the Eye of Yahweh. That is actually the Eye of Yahweh, or as they call it sometimes, the Eye of Providence. The triangle around it represents the Trinity of Jesus, Yahweh, and the Holy Spirit. Now, I have no doubt that this ultimately comes from the Eye of Horus, because I mean, This religion copies everything, so I mean, why wouldn't they copy the Eye of Horus? Of course. So yeah, when you see this, it is an Illuminati symbol, but not for the reasons that you think. It's not the Eye of Horus. It's an Illuminati symbol because it's the eye of the Illuminati created God, the God of the Bible, the God of the Catholic Church. Not actually seeing the Eye of Horus. They have taken it and they have wrapped it up in their new fabricated religion. It's all about power. The Illuminati are only a relative handful of people compared to the rest of the world's population. If you want to enslave or rule a large group of people, then you got to do two things. You got to either A, keep them ignorant, or B, keep them divided so you can conquer them. Religion breeds ignorance and division like nobody's business. So that's the tool that they use. You have to keep a person ignorant, because if a person has as much knowledge as you can, that means you can't enslave them. You have no power over them. The Illuminati doesn't fear you doing your Bible study or whatever, or praying to Jesus. That's what they want you to do. They made Jesus. They're not afraid of Jesus. What they are afraid of is you trying to become an Illuminatus yourself. They don't want you to be illuminated, because then they lose their power over you. And like I said before, the Pope has sway over millions of people. Do you think the Pope can tell a conscious person anything? If the Pope tries to give a conscious person an instruction or an order, they would just tell the Pope to fuck off. He knows that Pope has no power over him, and he knows the source of everything that the Pope is saying. A pastor in your church is not going to trick a conscious person into giving up their money to pay tithes. A street preacher of one of these cults out here is not going to convince a conscious person to join up with them, become part of their group. And it's not going to happen, because they're not going to have any power over them. If I know what you know, what can you tell me? Knowledge is power. Slavery is the absence of power. That's why slaves always had to be ignorant. That's why they wouldn't teach black people how to read, because if you had that knowledge, you would not be able to enslave them. We even see this reflected in mythology. Mythologies that tell you point blank, humans were created to be slaves. They say humans were created to be slaves of the gods. They were supposed to take on the gods' labor force, like to till the lands, dig up the minerals out of the earth, whatever. Humans were designed specifically to be slaves. Even today, when you talk Christians, if you ask a Christian what is the purpose of life, they'll say to serve God. That's why there's a common theme in mythology about the gods not wanting the human beings to possess knowledge. What are the two things that separate a god and a human being? Knowledge and immortality. Now you might say, well, there's a lot that separates a god from human beings, because gods have all these tremendous powers. They can create heaven and earth, and they can, create rainstorms and hailstorms and thunderstorms and all this stuff. But these are mythology is allegorical. A lot of it's allegorical, and it switches from allegory to literal. So when you're seeing gods controlling all these natural forces, this is the allegory. But when you have tales of the gods actually having one-on-one encounters with human beings, if the human beings know enough, they can actually match the gods. So you always have these myths of the gods being upset when the humans when the humans acquire knowledge. It's like in Greek mythology, you have these men. The men they're slaves. They're good slaves. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're subservient. They're below the gods. And then Prometheus comes down, and Prometheus gives them knowledge. He gives them fire. He gives them fire so they can be illuminated. That's the metaphor. He gives them fire so they can be illuminated, and he teaches them all these things. And Zeus gets furious with Prometheus for doing this, because now humans can do what the gods can do. Now they can alter the earth. They can change their surroundings. They have power over their environment. And the gods didn't want them to have this power, so Zeus punishes Prometheus. We see the same thing. You see the same thing in the Bible. In the Bible, it says, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, the serpent says, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, you will be as gods. And people always say that the serpent was lying when he said that. When he said that you'll be as gods. But you'll see that when you read on in the story, you'll see later on, you see that the serpent is not lying. Yahweh confirms it himself. When they gain this knowledge, Adam and Eve become just like the gods. He said he has become like one of us. A lot of people think that when you say knowledge of good and evil, they think that it's good and evil as we mean the words today. But I mean, this is just an expression. I mean, we can see that most likely just means knowledge of all things, knowledge of everything, just good and evil. It's just saying knowledge in general. So they become just like the God of the Bible. That's why you have to keep people ignorant, so that you have that power over them, and you have to keep them divided as well.